Ladies and gentlemen, the segment prior to this one was satire. It was simply satire, sarcasm. I was pretending to be a wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrat. I love all my subscribers and viewers. I, for the life of me, cannot understand how there are people who say, I haven't seen you in a long time, H.A., and you've lost your mind. It's like, well, you can see all the rest of the videos that I've done. You can kind of see also in the manner that I'm presenting myself, contradicting myself here and there, and, you know, trying to blame Trump for everything under the sun. You could see that it's sarcasm, and you could see that there's political satire there. So when in the future, when I do a segment that says Merrick Garland is indicting Donald Trump, know that I don't believe he will indict Trump, because a lot of the evidence in any of the indictments, well, in certain indictments, let's say, or potential, would point to the government. We'll just leave it at that. But they don't have anything on his tax returns. I have spoken about that. They've had his tax returns since, for the past 2 years now? Going on 2 years, about a year now to a year and a half, they've had his tax returns. Okay, they found nothing. The Mueller probe did not indict anybody on working alongside Russian intelligence officials. The Durham probe, which we're talking about now in this segment, is indicting people for deliberately setting up and framing President Trump. Now, we're going to get to Hunter's issue that will eventually expand the Durham probe even further. And we'll discuss, because Jake Sullivan, his deposition, his testimony ties the Durham probe with Hunter. And I've talked about that endlessly. But, so they don't have him. Stormy owes him money. And I'm voting for President Trump in 24. Or Ron DeSantis 24, but it's going to be Trump DeSantis almost certainly. I don't see how it couldn't be Trump DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis is amazing. And so I want a Trump-Clinton rematch. That is not satire. That's the truth. So you might think I'm nuts for that. I want Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, and I want to do it all over again because we haven't moved past 2016. But the segment prior was satire. So I have no clue. They can't get Trump on obviously inflating the values of his, elevating the valuation of his buildings or hotels in New York. That's nonsense. The whole point, they can't get him on doing anything in January because he didn't tell people to commit any crimes. And the mayor of D.C. and the attorney general of D.C. didn't level any legal statutes or criminal or indictments at him. Or they never even asked Merrick Garland to indict him. They could have. And so we can go on and on. They don't have anything on Trump. If they did, they would indict. They have things on Democrats, but they cover them up. That's the way it works. That's what I've said endlessly on this channel. But the satire is lost upon some, no problem. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel because there are people unsubscribing, and I have, for the love of God, for the life of me, I have no idea why. It's so funny. Just watch those segments again. It's so funny. Anyway, Washington Post. Hit subscribe to this channel, to my new Patreons. Ladies and gentlemen, you are so, I appreciate your support so much. And I'm going to try new platforms as well, because I know that some people don't like Patreon, but to my new Patreons, thank you. The Stock Market Crash channel is below in the pinned comment. I'm going to do more work on that channel. We're heading into a devastating stock market crash. Ever since I wrote my Federalist article in the pinned comment, the economy, everything to do with the economy, from inflation to possible food shortages to economic growth being dismal. When I wrote that, I predicted everything that's taking place, And I'm telling you, there's going to be a devastating stock market crash. So hit subscribe to this channel. Everything from cryptocurrencies to Bitcoin to equities, of course, unfortunately, will completely collapse. They've pumped so many trillions of dollars into the system that it might take a little while before the whole thing completely collapses. But again, I don't want that to happen. Unfortunately, that will happen. So like I always say, make sure you have money saved every single month. But here, so whenever I do a segment on Trump getting indicted, you can see it's pure satire. Nobody has to say, I'm leaving. I want you to know. I'm on shopping. Anyway, the Washington Post, the Hunter Biden story is an opportunity for a reckoning. So it's interesting how, I want to read you this. There was something grotesquely familiar about last week's revelations about Hunter's business dealings abroad, both in the story's particulars and in the more general saga of sleazy self-dealing into which it fits. The idea that these latest revelations definitively vindicate or villainize any party except Hunter himself, however, is misplaced. No, it does. No. The Washington Post serves as a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party. The New York Post is even worse. Sometimes the Washington Post will allow a dissenting viewpoint in the opinion section. This is from the editorial board. They deliberately, along with the New York Times, Twitter, MSNBC, CNN, Facebook, every social media algorithm, they knew that negative stories about Hunter would impact his father's campaign. So they silenced debate and they said the materials were hacked by you-know-who. Anything detrimental to the Democratic Party. Anything detrimental to the Democratic Party is always another country wants you to know how corrupt Democrats are, and that's not fair. Okay? That's absurd. It's the most, this is the work of maniacs and narcissists. It's not the fact that Hunter's trading his father's name and utilizing the United States government as a carrot or as like incentive for others to do business with him. It's that we learned about all these horrible things and almost certain national security risks through Trump or through Rudy Giuliani or through a laptop at a computer repair store. Well, so what? Democrats can't type an email without their entire political party collapsing. And without media and without Jimmy Kimmel and Seth Meyer and all of Hollywood, without every single corporation out there, public relations firm, they don't have a political party. Because most of the country knows, like, let's put it this way. We had record low unemployment. We had record low unemployment, economic growth. Gas was at around less than $3. Inflation was around 2%. Inflation is what, 8 to 9% now? And even really, it's a lot more than that, especially for energy and gas. Gas is through the roof. Gas prices. Economic growth is going to be dismal. We're heading into a recession. And you have every single media outlet propping up our beloved president, mashed potato brains, and still his numbers, his poll numbers are in the tank. Just imagine if he was treated like Trump, where you would have current and former officials say, and anonymous sources say. Where are the sources within the White House talking about palace intrigue with President Mashed Potato Brains? It doesn't happen, no matter what takes place. No matter how horrible the economy is. The Post reported Wednesday on multi-million-dollar deals the president's son made with a Chinese energy company. The investigation adds new details and confirms old ones about the way in which Joe's family's profited from trading overseas on his name, something for which the president deserves criticism for tacitly condoning. Are you kidding me? Criticism? There will be an impeachment. But I love how they're just hands off with their president, and I mean anyone who said anything about Trump, it was firmly set in stone that he must have committed a crime. What it does do, despite some conservatives' insistence otherwise, is prove that President Biden what it does not do is prove that Biden acted corruptly. No, it does prove that. He did lie. He knew about his son's business activities because it's within those emails. So he did lie. And that is illegal as well. You cannot trade your family's name while there's a sitting vice president who perhaps forced out a prosecutor because that prosecutor, according to Rudy Giuliani and others, was about to investigate the company that your son's working for. And Hunter's emails actually state, how can you use your influence on behalf of the company? You don't have these direct links to possible criminal behavior with Trump. You have a dossier purchased by his direct political rivals. Nothing was purchased by Joe's direct political rivals. You just see everything he's done and everything that is stated within his emails. But here, this is a reality that an election year probe by Senate Republicans into improper influence and wrongdoing has already confirmed. No, Senate Republicans didn't confirm that. No, Senate Republicans didn't confirm. Republicans find no evidence. Oh, yes, they do find evidence. There was a lot of evidence, according to Ron Johnson. But there you go. They link to a New York Times article that doesn't even quote Ron Johnson or doesn't quote him accurately. The Justice Department, meanwhile, continues its inquiry into Hunter's tax affairs and foreign lobbying. Okay, they went after Michael Flynn for foreign lobbying, and then the judge said, oh, I misspoke. After he told the world that, oh my God, he sold out his country. Well, that wasn't true. But see, again, the hysteria goes one way. The Democrats' silence. The Durham probe special counsel is expanding into this through Jake Sullivan, because Jake Sullivan was a part of both campaigns, Joe's and Madam Secretary's. But here, for now, what's more compelling than the assorted accusations about Biden's behavior is this question. Why is confirmation of a story that first surfaced in the fall of 2020 emerging only now? Because it hurt Democrats. And then they go on to talk about how, well, we have to really... find out if things are true or not. But you didn't do that with Trump. The entire Trump-Russia story was fabricated without a shred of evidence. But it was, oh, well, it must be true. A high to moderate confidence assessments by President Obama's partisan intelligence agency that's not evidence. You could do the same thing. When John Ratcliffe said anything about Democrats disregarded that. Both had been unwitting tools of Russian influence campaign 2016. No, but we don't know this. This is not confirmed by anyone. There's a high to moderate confidence assessment that Russia influenced 2016. Nobody looked at a Facebook ad and said, I'm going to vote for Trump over Clinton. And it was only prudent to suspect a similar plot lay behind mysterious. No, it wasn't prudent. Yet there's a reason the case for reluctance on the part of publications and platform like. No. The reluctance was that it hurt Democrats. Now they want to rewrite history of the Washington Post and say, gosh, it could have been the work of Russia. The Steele dossier itself was compiled by people associated with the Kremlin. One person possibly associated, an individual from that country, in the Durham probe, indicted. It was Democrats who worked with Russia, not Trump. And the paper trail and the money trail prove that. But the Washington Post, who reported that Clinton and the DNC, through a law firm that Sussman worked for and through another attorney accused by Trump within a lawsuit, they purchased a dossier obtained with help from foreign sources. And that was okay. Conveniently handed over Donald Trump's toxic personal attorney. Rudy Giuliani's not toxic. The editorial board for the Washington Post is more toxic than Rudy Giuliani. He was America's mayor not long ago. The Washington Post is blatantly partisan. They went after Bernie Sanders. They went after Trump. They went after Tulsi Gabbard. They go after anyone who is not a liberal Democrat. Or anyone who isn't working for one purpose, and that's to help the Democratic Party. They were going to go after an amazing energy expert, Alex Epstein, that I've quoted many times when I look at his writing and his thoughts on Twitter. And I don't have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. But Alex Epstein is amazing. And they tried to run a hit piece on him. What the Washington Post and the New York Times do, and they didn't, thank goodness, because he was probably ready to sue like I would be, like any of us would be. What the Washington Post and the New York Times and others do is they target hit pieces towards anyone that has any viewpoint that is in opposition to the paradigm of the liberal democratic philosophy or the Democratic Party. They want to silence debate. It could be Hunter's story. It could be Alex Epstein with the moral case for fossil fuels and pretty amazing discussion. Like, he's extremely knowledgeable about what's taking place, why gas prices are so high, why fossil fuels are actually good for the economy and not bad for the economy, and good for people's lives and not bad for people's lives. Okay, you want to eventually, address climate change and eventually have more renewables, but that now is not the time. And he explains that. But the Washington Post had to, with Nicholas Sandmann, had to go ahead and settle. That's what they do. So doctored recordings supposedly showed Joe and probably pressured them. So it's like, you can have a recording that's doctored just for the sole purpose of trying to obfuscate or circumvent the reality that the biggest story, those emails were legitimate. The New York Post broke that story, and the Washington Post and others, and social media algorithms on Twitter, worked very hard to silence the story, specifically because it was negative for the Democratic Party. This context doesn't necessarily exonerate every action of the publication. Of course it doesn't. The lesson learned from 2020 may well be there's also a danger of suppressing accurate and relevant stories. You did so to help the Democratic Party. No story, nothing will be published. Very rarely in the Washington Post. 95, 98% of everything published in the Washington Post will have a spin geared towards promoting the Democratic Party in some way, shape, or form. And the Hunter Biden story is an important opportunity for reckoning. There will be no reckoning with any of these publications. They don't care. They only want political power. And the political power right now, unfortunately, in media is, promote the Democratic Party, protect both Bidens from any and Clinton and others. And I want a Hillary Clinton-Trump rematch. Please, God. And I'm serious. That's not satire. I'm serious about that. But those emails show clear pay-to-play schemes. Rudy Giuliani has explained which legal statutes the emails have broken. You cannot promise, which is what within those emails you have discussions about how Hunter can use his contacts, influence, and you have Hunter making business deals to help fund his Joe's bank account. 10% for the big man. You have all of these incriminating emails, and they relate directly to the Durham probe special counsel. If they were going after Trump simply to cover up the endless nonsense, if Jake Sullivan's a part of both the Alpha Bank story and a part of covering up the Hunter story, that's a huge problem. And that's one of the links between the Durham probe in addition to the law firm that Sussman worked for. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. The law firm is a huge part of Biden's campaign. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Again, satire. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've lasted this long, sometimes I'll do a satirical segment. Don't unsubscribe from the channel. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you.